at and I'm the manager of customer success at Omnisend. Today's session is around the topic of how to enhance your retention strategy with an omni-channel approach. And today I'm incredibly excited because we're joined by two guest speakers who are both industry experts and have a wealth of knowledge both in e-commerce and retention marketing. The first works for Gorgias, which is a help desk for e-commerce stores that allows customer service teams to manage all their support in one platform. Allow me to introduce everyone to Chris Lavoie, Gorgias's technology partner manager. Hi, Chris.
Hey, George. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Great to have you. And our second guest speaker is part of the reviews.io team, which is a review collection and e-commerce marketing solution that allows you to build your online reputation and encourage customer loyalty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Joe Santillan, US sales lead at reviews.io.
Thanks, George. Happy to be here, guys.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, yes, thank you both again. Really excited to have you both here and allow our viewers to pick your brains a little bit on the importance of today's topic. And I know we just have 30 minutes, so let's just jump right in and get to some of the questions that we have here. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Let's do it.
Perfect. So today's session is about building retention strategies in an omni-channel environment. When it comes to optimizing retention initiatives to push people down that sales funnel, data is a marketer's best friend, right? And one of the best ways to collect that data is having a live chat and reviews platform. So my question is, for brands that have a reviews platform in place, why should they consider a live chat program? And for brands that have a live chat program, why should they consider a reviews platform?
Yeah, great question there. Having a review platform is one of the best ways to acquire new and useful data from your customers, and especially their experiences, right? So no longer is a company like ourselves, Reviews.io, just collecting the star rating and minimum 10 characters. We're now effectively pursuing reviewer attributes. And these come in the form of different questions. Questions such as comfort, overall fit, durability, or even cosmetics brands, like what skin type do you have? Collecting these reviewer attributes really allows you to effectively communicate with your customers and focus specifically on what applies to them based on their engagement with your brand. So just imagine, gaining enough insight to understand what attracts more customers and what increases more conversions. This sort of data can really elevate a company to new heights and really narrows down and just hyper focus on what they're all about, what their interests are, what their likes and dislikes are based off their engagements.
That's great. Yeah, I love that idea of attributes and leveraging that data. Chris, would love to hear your thoughts on the topic as well.
Absolutely. So just some quick context before I give my answer. Gorgias, an omni-channel customer support help desk platform. We integrate with Omnisend, we integrate with reviews.io. And what that means as a support agent inside of our platform, if you have left any reviews or you have any loyalty data, et cetera, that'll be on display for a support agent inside of our platform, which you can leverage. Tying that nicely into live chat, we have great data in the industry. We know that customers or potential customers who message in via live chat, 76% of the time they're looking to purchase. I think all of us here, if we're going to go and actually message in live chat, we'll probably have the intent to purchase. So by leveraging the reviews data that we have, we can really give a seamless, tailored experience. As a support agent, I could say, George, I see you didn't really like our last product, and that's on us. We apologize for that. We're committed to getting better. Here's a 10% discount code for your next purchase, right? Hope you have a great day. So it's imperative to leverage data across all the channels, and that's why this is such a great webinar topic. And the reviews with an actual agent messaging someone via live chat is a good example.
Yeah, I love that. It's really insightful. Thank you there. So let's talk about topic number 2. This question was brought up. So a brand's website, it's no longer the only channel that customers have at their disposal to purchase products, right? The internet ecosystem, it's ever evolving. New channels are becoming available every day. They're generating tons of revenue. A study by Digital Marketing Institute says that 39% of consumers depend on influencer marketing And another study by Hootsuite says that 130 million Instagram users click on shopping posts every month. Well, those stats are pretty powerful considering there's over 1 million active users on Instagram just alone. So that kind of brings an interesting question here. When it comes to customer satisfaction, what channels should brands consider building a retention strategy for?
Yeah, I can take that one, take the lead on that one. So you mean you're just giving great data on social media, Instagram, for et cetera. So you're teeing me up to answer with, social media channels essentially, right? Modern customers expect brands to be listening essentially all across each of the different channels that they might be interacting with. So it's not enough to deliver, good and fast support on, say, email or live chat, but then completely fall apart on social medias, right? So if someone's commenting on your post and they're leaving really negative comments, for instance, you can't miss that, right? And so social media channels for sure is something that we invested heavily in, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. We're going to detect all the positive or negative sentiment-based posts. And then again, we have all of this information from, say, Shopify, so our agents can leverage that. So social media, absolutely, you need to be, you can't miss out on that opportunity as a brand.
That's really interesting. And when you talk about sentiment, can you, for those viewers that aren't too familiar with that term and how that applies to e-com digital marketing, can you talk a little bit about that?
For sure. So we have machine learning built into our platform. So imagine, George has left a really nasty comment on one of our Instagram posts, for instance. We would detect that based on the language that George is using. We would detect that and tag that as negative sentiment. The ticket itself or a conversation with a customer would be tagged as negative social sentiment. And then for larger brands, certainly you're going to have perhaps a dedicated person who manages social media based tickets inside of Gorgias. And so these people are trained to go in there and leverage, all the data that we have on the customer to react quickly. So you don't have these negative, nasty comments floating around, just like you don't want to have negative, nasty reviews floating around as well.
That's really interesting. A quick question about that. So when you talk about machine learning and looking at different, what people are saying, their dialogue, what about different languages? How does that play a role in terms of interpreting what that looks like for the end user? Oh, I'm sorry, not the end user, the brand that's actually looking at these.
Yeah, it's a great question. So right now we support well over 80 different languages, and our platform functions much the same. We're adding more languages every month as we start to expand internationally. But yeah, most of the languages that any Shopify brand, for instance, is on, we're supporting and can detect that intent much in the same way.
That's really powerful. But Joe, would love to hear your thoughts here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a killer question. So within the Reviews.io solution, the main driving factors are going to be Instagram and Facebook, hands down. This is where all of your customers are going to be living, depending on new ideas, discovering new products, new businesses. Funny enough, my grandmother's even on Facebook these days. So, every demographic you can think of is on there. So it's a really key platform to be focusing on. And this is, where also, people are influenced to buy products. The stats that George provide, 39% of consumers depend on influencer marketing. That's massive. And then you also have the Hootsuite stat of 130 million taps on shopping posts per month. That's a large percentage of opportunity out there that's just waiting to be taken advantage of. Here at Reviews.io, we have a Instagram influencer feature that would help discover influencers making purchases from you that you would otherwise have no idea. We have this company called BoxRaw. These people were using the influencer marketing for roughly just 2 months, and they found that one of their celebrities, a celebrity, was making purchases not just once but 7 different times. That was powerful to see, and that really gives you the opportunity to get into the influencer marketing space, see what that's all about. And the beautiful part is that it's the likelihood of them collaborating with you is much higher because they're already an advocate of your brand, right? Another channel that should be considered moving forward, shockingly enough, is TikTok. TikTok is definitely going to be at the forefront here in the coming years. And it's all about those early adopters, but it's also important to know your demographic, right? You don't want to have an older demographic head over to TikTok because those are kind of geared towards more Gen Zs and some millennials.
Unless your grandma wants to get really up in the times with different social media platforms.
Exactly, exactly. We may have to, give her the a quick little rundown of the platform itself, but yeah.
So you brought up something that's really interesting in terms of functionality with your platform and finding influencers that you would want to have on your side. How does a marketer actually come up with criteria to find the right influencer?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can really gear towards what they're most likely publishing. What's their audience like? Who is typically following them? What are they typically posting? There's other channels that they're most likely on as well. Maybe YouTube. That's another area where definitely should be focused on as well.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that there. And this kind of leads into my next question. And we talked about, Joe, you said Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. There's the digital marketing landscape. There's always new channels coming abroad, right? And one of the things I love about both of your platforms is the holistic approach that you take to giving brands that one single view of what's happening, because there can be a lot happening all at once, and consolidating that is very valuable. So for the brands that are just starting to take retention marketing more seriously, what would your advice be to building a plan to improve their customer service and or reputation management initiatives?
Yeah, I'll lead this one here. So I think it's important to just really understand evaluating types of reviews. Shockingly enough, there's all different types of reviews. I mean, there's main three reviews that we usually go with. That's going to be specific to like your local area. You can consider these like a Google My Business listing, a Yelp page, Facebook, Better Business Bureau, Yellow Page. These are considered third-party reviews. You'll typically find these with businesses in the service industry, perhaps maybe HVACs, CPAs, lawyers, pressure washers, insurance agencies, along those lines. That's going to be really great, again, for like your local listing area. From there, the second type of review, you're going to be able to really narrow down on your product side, and that's going to be for e-commerce brands, Shopify users, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, etc. Basically, if you have an e-commerce site, it's imperative to have your products listed on Google Shopping, because prior to May of 2020, you had to pay really a significant amount of money to have your products displayed in Google Shopping. However, that's all changed. Now small businesses, early stage startup businesses can now be next to these big box retailers, large corporations such as Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Best Buy, and more, all to sell your products. And collecting product reviews on Google Shopping increases your visibility, your SEO, your trust, and higher conversions. The best part is, it's all free to be listed on Google Shopping. And then lastly, and the most important, which is why a lot of people choose to go with Reviews.io, are the seller rating reviews. Now, these are only going to be specific to your AdWords. So if you're spending money on AdWords, extremely beneficial. If not, this isn't really going to be that much of value to you, because these are going to be an aggregated star rating right beneath your ad. And if you can imagine, if you're amongst your competitors who are also spending money on ads, battling for that one location, you have those stars listed underneath your ad. That gives you an increase of a click-through rate by 18%, while also receiving a reducing cost. So it's incredibly beneficial, but all of these reviews, will not be helpful if you don't have a one centralized area to manage. So within the Reviews.io dashboard, there's tons of different filtering options. There's so many different connections that we have with both Google Shopping, social media, web. You have these filtering dates options, you have filtering platforms. It's really, really imperative to just have it all in a centralized area. So if you're out there looking for the best solution, definitely see what the integrations are, what connections they can have, and how easy it is to navigate within that platform, so that way you can manage these types of reviews that are flowing in.
That's awesome. And I love the way you put it in terms of, this is sophisticated marketing, but and this was, previously something that was being able to have, by Fortune 500 companies, but we've now grown to this area of digital marketing and e-commerce where things are more affordable, and these small market businesses do have options to compete with those bigger brands, because there's more at their disposal there. So thank you for sharing there. Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've been talking today about how Gorgias truly is an omni-channel customer support help desk, meaning we're not missing a beat in terms of any channel that your customers might be interacting with your business on. We're going to make sure that we pull in those conversations, social media posts, etc. When it comes to brands just starting out, trying to flesh out what makes sense for them, I think just like any good new business, you need to be, experimenting with different channels. Gorgias is going to, enable you to connect with all your different channels, but not all channels are going to be the most lucrative for you, certainly in the beginning. So perhaps email marketing is, that's the best lever for you to be toggling right now. Maybe social media isn't something that you're investing heavily in just yet, so there's no real need to double down on that, for instance. But in the beginning, you definitely need to assess which channel is the top performing for you, and then pivot. Good news is because we do connect with all these different channels, your customer support and care is going to be top notch, regardless of those channels. But it's going to be different for everybody. What's the most successful?
I love that, and more importantly, I really loved that you mentioned testing. That's something that I mention to my clients all the time. Come up with a hypothesis for what you think is going to be able to work to convert whatever that conversion is you're tracking: clicks, revenue. Test it out and make data-driven decisions and learn and grow from there. So I love that. Thank you both. So next question. So one of the things that I hear a lot of from Omnisend clients is that they love how both of your integration and partner stacks are very comprehensive. And with more and more new digital channels coming out, what's an emerging channel that you think brands need to have on their radar in the coming years when it comes to building that retention strategy?
Yeah, for sure. I'll kick that one off. So one for sure is SMS. I think that everybody is seeing SMS start to take more prominence in the e-commerce ecosystem. And so one thing that's so powerful about the Omnisend Gorgias integration, for instance, is that Omnisend makes it really easy to send out these beautiful campaigns with high conversion rates and great for retention. But what Gorgias can help do is take that conversation into a two-way form. And so I get an email or I get an SMS, and I'm interested in learning more. Right? I can reply to either the email or SMS, and that's going to create a ticket or a conversation inside of Gorgias, which again, we have all this data on the customer for us to leverage, right? So that's a huge advantage. The customer doesn't know that two different platforms are involved. They just think that they're having a seamless two-way SMS conversation. It's very personalized because both of our platforms have so much customer data. So that's definitely one of the best features of having so many integrations, right? We have great native functionality, but you start plugging in all of our different apps like reviews.io and Omnisend, and then it really takes it to the next level.
Yeah, definitely very powerful. So next question, and we Joe, you talked a little bit about this earlier in terms of the three different types of reviews that you have. So there's a term that's been getting a lot of traction over the past few years, and that's the voice of the customer, or VOC. For those listeners who don't know what that is, it's a way to collect data on your brand, which allows you to take a perspective of the behavior of your shoppers and what affects them both positively and negatively. And what better way to create that voice of the customer initiative than using a live chat feature in reviews to get that information? So can you both share why it's important for brands to pay attention to both positive and negative feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really great question. I mean, at the end of the day, people, they want to work with a 4-5-star business. That's given, right? But realistically, what's going to come down to is people are going to find those businesses and they're going to go right to those 1-star reviews, those 2-star reviews. What they want to see is, am I going to be in a position like this person? We'll call him John Doe. He had an experience that, wasn't so pleasant. And if I'm in that position, am I going to be reached out to by the business owner? Are they going to make the situation right? Are they going to have my back if something goes wrong? And the likelihood of you actually reaching out to that person with that negative review, even though it can be a little daunting at first, it's going to truly benefit you in the long run because people want to see that communication, and the likelihood of them revising that review becomes very high by the amount of time you ultimately respond to that person. So we have a flow feature within the reviews.io solution that you can have these automated responses come out. So if someone comes in with a 1-star review, boom, you can send out an automated message saying, hey, Mr. Customer, what was the problem? We want to make this right. Your satisfaction means the most to us. Now, by sending that out, you're very attentive. The likelihood of them revising that review is very high.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're a customer support help desk, so paying close attention to negative or positive feedback is paramount to our platform. A nice example of the integration with reviews.io, for instance, is okay, someone leaves a nasty review or 1 or 2 star review. That'll create a ticket inside of Gorgias. It'll be tagged as negative review or reviews.io, wherever you'd like. And then that again will alert, if I'm a support agent who's managing all of the reviews that are being left on our brand, then it makes it really easy to be proactive and reach out. We have all the customer data from our Shopify integration, for instance. So it's critical to be listening in that regard. The positive feedback is nice, definitely. Hearing good things, it reinforces the what you're committing resources to in terms of product development, etc. But those negative reviews and negative feedback are critical to not only listen to and hear and document and leverage, but also you need to be reactive as well, and as timely fashion as possible. And we could get into all the data surrounding the recovery rate. If someone leaves a negative review, but you get back to them within a certain threshold of time, that's going to rescue and increase your retention. So yeah, you can't just leave these negative reviews out there, because then other people are going to see it. They're going to see that you never even responded, right? Which I definitely, as a customer, hate seeing. I hate seeing, okay, there's some negative comments. That's inevitable. There's trolls out there for sure. But if the brand or business did nothing to really address it or reach out to them, then it's like, okay, this brand clearly doesn't care.
Absolutely. I've been victim of that, where I've left a review and have wanted or expected that type of response, and I was ignored, or felt ignored, so to speak. So definitely. So I want to transition into another point, and you talked about sending times. Forrester has a stat that 20% of customers will stop doing business with a brand that's too slow to respond. So when we talk about being proactive and reactive to their responses, what's an optimal time for a brand to respond to both their chats and or reviews?
Yeah, I'll start with the chats first. So we actually have a ton of data that shows, two of the biggest support metrics that we track and put on display for our brands is first response time. So how fast are you actually just acknowledging the customer's existence? Doesn't mean that you've necessarily solved the problem. Sometimes it's more complex. And then another key metric is resolution time. So, okay, you've responded, but have you solved the problem yet? And we have great data to show that there's a strong correlation between things like lifetime value, average order value, et cetera, churn rate, et cetera, for brands that are delivering really fast response and resolution times. We've actually gamified this and lumped our 6,000 plus merchants into tiers, 5 being the absolute best. So they're responding within less than 10 minutes, and then it goes down from there. And so it's really helped, only 3% of our customers right now are in that 5-star exceptional customer experience that they're delivering. So we're working with them. It's informing our product roadmap to get it to a point where it's actually really easy for brands to go from 2 to 3 to the 4 and 5 star. So yeah, and then we also have data that shows the conversion rates. As I mentioned earlier, when people message in via live chat, they have the intention of purchasing. Close to 80% of those people who message in live chat want to purchase. And we have great data to show, and includes our integration with Omnisend, that if you reply to a pre-sale live chat or SMS within 10 minutes, your conversion rates go from say 2 to 7%, which is industry standard, all the way up to 28 to 30%, right? So that's, a big focus of us is, customer support isn't about post-purchase only. It's also, there's a huge opportunity for pre-sale conversion as well.
Those are some pretty powerful stats right there. That's great.
Yeah, and then on the review side of it, our window is very, very much smaller. The person is, they're top of mind, whether they're positive, whether they're negative, their frustrations. I mean, it's imperative that you're reaching out as quickly as possible, which is why we created this flow feature to help alleviate, that time, having that response being sent out immediately to that person upon writing that review. They're like, whoa, okay, wow, yeah, let's get this taken care of. Now they have a complete mind shift, because that window of opportunity, it's about a 48-hour window, realistically. Beyond that, you might as well just, accept the fact that this person will not revise the review. You may have resolved the issue, but the likelihood of your timely manner can be affected by that. So 48 hours, stats show, it's that nice small window.
Yeah, that is definitely a small window right there. Interesting. Well, that about wraps it up for today. But before we do close, I believe Gorgias and Reviews.io have some special promotions for today's listeners. And we will be following up with those to all attendees in an email later on. But to give you some insight, Gorgias is going to be receive 2 free months of the platform, and Reviews.io has 30% off the monthly option and 45% off the annual subscription with a coupon code. So just want to make the viewers aware of that. And that about wraps it up for today's session. I want to again thank our partners Gorgias and Reviews.io for working with us today. And more importantly, I want to thank our new friends Joe and Chris for taking the time out of their day to discuss omni-channel retention. I'm sure our viewers will agree that today's fireside chat was extremely valuable. So thank you both.
Thanks so much for hosting this, George, and thanks to Lindsay, who's behind the scenes coordinating everything. So thanks to both of you.
Yeah, thanks so much, George. Thanks so much, Lindsay. Really happy to be here. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Great to have you. Well, we'll see you next time for another episode of Cart Insiders. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.